This project has taught us so much about what we value and what we enjoy doing. What I love about this journey is just feeling a new connection to the animals and to nature.
Loving Off the Land is a self-challenge for ourselves that we're doing for 365 days to only eat what we catch, grow, harvest, or raise. So it's everything from raising chickens and growing our own vegetables, harvesting salt from the ocean. You know, we don't have olive oil, so we store our chicken fat to kind of use as our cooking oil, stevia for sugar as a substitute. We grow all of our own herbs and spices, so we haven't had anything from the store that we've bought at all. We haven't had coffee, we haven't had enough flour to make bread, so we've had no baked goods. Unless we can produce it or harvest it ourselves, we haven't consumed it.
So yeah, we're not buying anything from this store that we can consume. We do still buy hygiene products and that kind of stuff from the store, but nothing that we can drink or eat is being purchased.
It's always been something I've wanted to do, and I've always had a garden and sort of grown some food. And yeah, when things shut down in 2020, it just kind of put things in perspective for us, with grocery stores running out of items and how much we rely on corporations to provide our food for us. It really kind of made us want to go for it and see if we could do it and survive on our own.
Chris was the main driving force behind this, and the more he talked about it and the more he expressed his passion for it, I think I really saw it as just a really incredible opportunity to see if we could do it.
So we are over 10 months in, so we made it through the winter, which was definitely the most challenging time, and got a little bit monotonous with a lack of variety and things to eat, but we're through that, and it's mid-June now and just have 6 weeks to go and we've done it, which is kind of crazy. Yeah.
Just about. A couple of days before our challenge began, we went through every single cupboard, every single drawer, took out anything that was food related or could be consumed. And then for 3 weeks, we gardened like crazy and tried to prepare as much as we could.
We didn't start at the ideal time. It was already beginning of August. Luckily, we're in a really nice growing zone here where stuff grows through the winters. So yeah, we're doing a bunch of different elements on how we can produce food for ourselves. So it's anything that we can catch, grow, harvest, or raise. Living on the ocean, a big part of our diet has been seafood and fish and shellfish and things like that. We catch a lot of different things from the ocean that provide us with a lot of our protein. So the other thing we do obviously is grow a lot of food here on our property. So we're trying a lot of new things this year, like kiwis and lemons, and have an olive tree and artichokes and things that we've never grown before, and we'll kind of see how they do. And then of course also have your staples that do really well here, your kale, beets, Swiss chard, lettuces, asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, all those sort of things that do well in the colder months as well. So those were kind of our staples through the winter, and now trying to broaden that into some more unique things as well.
Part of our challenge is that we are harvesting. Some of that harvesting comes from foraging. Things that we've foraged are seaweed. We've been doing a lot of blackberry. We've also foraged some mushrooms from the forest and learned a little bit about the kinds that we can eat and cannot eat, because that's a big part of it. One of the things that we've harvested has been hazelnuts. What we'll do is we'll take the hazelnut, blend it with water, strain out the liquid, which turns into hazelnut milk, which is delicious. And then the pulp that comes out of it, that then we can turn into hazelnut flour. And then also we've been raising some chickens and turkeys, which have been a huge part of the protein that we've been consuming. It's also been super eye-opening to see the whole process from start to finish, how your meat gets on the table. And it's, I'd say, probably been the hardest part of our challenge so far. We have 6 hens right now that are laying, and they've laid really well throughout the whole winter, so they've been a really huge part of our diet.
Our diet was very protein heavy over the winter when we were sort of lacking vegetables, so this year we have planted a lot more things, you know, growing chickpeas and growing black drying beans, and some different things that we can sort of keep to become a little bit more plant-based over the winter as well. So we did do a little bit of studying on nutrition off the bat, but to be perfectly honest, we kind of jumped in and rushed in. So a lot of it was on the fly. And I think in a Facebook group, someone commented, "What are you going to do for iodine?" We went, "I don't know, what are you going to do for iodine?" So we go, because it comes in table salt normally and is added. So we didn't have that. So did some research, and it's in a bunch of seaweeds. We're like, let's go get some kelp. That's now going to be in our diet, and that's how we're getting iodine.
One of our staples has been wheatgrass. We'll chew on it or maybe blend it with a little bit of water and kind of take a wheatgrass shot. But then also we can use the grains that come up, grind that into flour, and we get a tiny little bit of flour. We made apple cider vinegar or apple scrap vinegar. That's our dressing, which is super tasty. Some new snacks that we've come up with lately has been, we've had bladderwrack dehydrated. It kind of tastes like a chip, sort of. It's crispy and we put salt on it, which is delicious.
So these are all our crab traps and prawn traps that would normally be in the water, but we just pulled them out to do a little bit of work on them and some repairs. So the crab traps normally stay out pretty much year round. We'll take them out if we're going away for a period of time, or sometimes we just want a break, but normally they're sort of out there and we check them every day or two. So one of our new kind of sections here is hostas, which is another plant that we just found out this year is edible, which is great for us because it's a shade plant. And the majority of our property is forested. And we really didn't want to clear cut trees and cut down stuff, even though we were trying to produce food. So anything that we can grow in shaded areas is wonderful. So this is one of our mushroom logs, as we call it. So unfortunately, we just had to harvest a bunch because they were starting to curl up. But we filled the stump with mycelium and coffee grounds that we get from our local bakery here on the island, who gives them to us. And it's done a great job just fruiting mushrooms for us. And these are also some logs that we have inoculated with plugs. So these will hopefully be fruiting with shiitake mushrooms in the fall. Well, this is our upper forest garden, as we call it, which isn't a true forest garden, but it's in our forested area that gets sort of filtered sunlight throughout the day. We just put this in this year, and we've got some things like raspberries and blueberries that do okay in the acidic soil that we get from all the pine needles that fall down. And trying everything from lettuce and broccoli, Brussels sprouts, bok choy, beans, you name it. So we've got a whole kind of mix up here just to see what works. And we found some recycled drip tape that we got from one of the local farms here on the island. It's half installed now, and we just get to turn a tap. It helps us save water and also saves me a good 45 minutes a day, which is definitely nice too. Steph and I both really feel it's important to give back, so we are planting a ton of trees this year as well. So we've kind of got a mix of seedlings, some we've grown from seed, and then we'll find them permanent homes in the fall. So our goal is to plant 4,000 trees by the end of the year, which will help give back to the environment that we're taking from.
So this is our chicken coop. We built it at the beginning. It is housing a lot of our little feathered friends. We have our 6 original hens, as well as 10 meat chickens, some turkeys, ducks, and some heritage breeds as well. So this is our new garden bed that we put in just a couple of months ago. This was all lovely grass, but we find vegetables to be a little bit more useful. We have quite the variety in here. Jerusalem artichokes are at the back. Then we have tons of strawberries, some yellow onions, and then lots of celery on the other side, and some new tomato plants as well. So we have tons of starter plants that are waiting to get planted out into the garden. It's kind of our second flush of vegetables that will eventually go in the garden and start to produce. Tons of variety here. We planted a bunch of tomatoes because that was one of the things that we were missing the most. These are our bees. It's our first year keeping bees, and we're learning so much about them. It's been great to see their growth and their progression, and also they've been amazing pollinators of our garden, so we're really excited to see the difference between last year's harvests compared to this year's harvest because of the bees. So this is the first garden that we started out with. It's our lower garden. It's where Chris spends most of his time. There's a huge variety as well in here. A lot of it is from last winter actually, which is incredible that it survived that long. But yeah, one of our favorite gardens that we have here.
Yeah, so we're super lucky to be in plant hardiness zone 9, which is a sub-Mediterranean climate. So pretty lucky to have moderate climate through the winter and can keep a lot of things going. So if we were doing this in a really winterized climate, we probably wouldn't have been able to do it. And having access to the ocean has been such a huge help as well. There's never been a scenario where we have nothing to eat today, we're starving. I definitely don't want to say it's easy, like it's hard and it's a lot of work, but it's 100% achievable in this climate and where we are, for sure. I think we're definitely delved into the self-sufficiency path, for sure. You know, there's still things that we want to do. We want to provide more of our own grains for our chickens, and things like water are a big issue on the island. So can we start capturing more rainwater over the winter to water everything, which takes a lot in the summer, and going solar eventually is something we're looking at.
The next year and the next 2 years will be really interesting in how far we come on our self-sufficiency journey.
We definitely saved money not eating out and not drinking and buying anything, but it hasn't been as much as you would think, I think, with the infrastructure. Obviously, being our first year, a lot went into building garden beds and building chicken coops and getting things started. But next year, I think we're going to see a huge amount of savings. We were sort of both out of work at the time when we first started, so for the first 4 months we were able to put sort of full time into the infrastructure and what we were doing, but we've both been back to work now since January and have managed to do what we're doing while managing jobs, both of us. It's amazing how much garbage and waste and recycling comes from our food and beverage products, which we never really thought about before. In the first 3 months, we kind of, at the end of it, we're sitting there and be like, we only have 2 small bags of garbage that we produced in 3 months, and normally we produce at least 1 a week of those, I would say, if not more. So that's been another beneficial thing that I think we'll focus on and take into consideration a lot more. Definitely not everything's worked, and we've had our sort of challenges as well, and we've tried things like making maple syrup from trees, which we were out there checking every morning and be like, did we get any drip of sap? And we're like, nope, we got nothing. And I think we had idyllic plans of making sunflower oil at the beginning of the season from sunflower seeds, and put them downstairs and forgot about them for a little too long, and they got moldy, so then that went out the window. So definitely had some failures and some challenges. We've sort of made this public and been sharing it with people. So we do weekly videos on YouTube of our trials and tribulations and what's worked and what hasn't and what's been our challenges. So I think for a number of reasons, obviously, but one of them I think was just to hold ourselves accountable. So yeah, LovinofftheLand is the YouTube channel. We're loving the lifestyle and loving what we're doing, so we'll keep going for sure. Won't be quite as strict, and we'll start introducing a few things and enjoy a meal out once in a while, and probably have a new challenge in the work as well.
I think we've really fallen in love with what we're doing, and it's created a sense of purpose almost. We have to get up in the morning to feed the chickens and to care for our vegetable gardens, and I think it's just such a rewarding process from start to finish.
Subscribe to Exploring Alternatives and check out our playlists for more stories like this. You can also follow Stef and Chris on YouTube at LovinofftheLand. Thanks for watching.